So when you sit down to, like, play a tabletop mystery game, or maybe you're watching one of those tense detective thrillers on TV.
Oh, yeah. Love those.
Right. There is always that one pivotal moment. The genius investigator crouches down, and they pick up this tiny, seemingly insignificant object.
Like a discarded receipt or something.
Exactly. Or, a strange scuff mark on the floor, maybe a matchbook, and they hold it up to the light, and they declare that they have found a clue.
The classic reveal.
Yeah, and we just accept it. I mean, the word itself is completely invisible to us at this point.
Right. It's a unit of evidence. It's basically the core currency of any investigation. We never really pause to think about the physical weight of that word, It's just an abstraction for information now.
But today, we are giving it its physical weight back. We are taking this single, everyday word, a word you have probably said, 3 times this week, and we're tracing its shockingly epic origins.
It really is wild.
If you're joining us on this deep dive, you're going to see how a completely mundane household item transformed into the defining concept for legendary detectives.
We're taking a huge journey today.
We really are. We are tracing a path from modern crime fiction all the way back to the monsters of the ancient world. And our grounding source for this is a fascinating article titled How a Ball of Thread Gave Us the Word Clue.
Yeah, and it's a massive conceptual leap. You really have to consider the evolution of human cognition and, storytelling, all wrapped up in this word that has become just entirely ubiquitous.
Oh, ubiquitous is almost an understatement.
Yeah.
I mean, look at our entertainment landscape right now.
It's everywhere.
We literally have a famous, long-running board game just called Clue. We have massive hit television shows like Sherlock.
Mm-hmm.
The entire genre of crime fiction remains one of the most commercially successful genres of literature in existence. And it is built entirely on this one single concept, finding clues to solve a puzzle.
Which is exactly what makes its etymological root so jarring. Because if you look back to the old English origins of the word, it wasn't spelled C-L-U-E.
Wait, really?
No, it's spelled C-L-E-W, clue.
C-L-E-W. Okay, so if I'm reading an original manuscript from, say, the 1600s, like the first folio of Shakespeare, and I see C-L-E-W, what exactly am I looking at? Because if I remember my high school English lit classes, Shakespeare actually used this word.
He did, yeah. In 1623, William Shakespeare used the word clue in his play All's Well That Ends Well.
Okay.
But, and this is the crazy part, when Shakespeare wrote it, he was not talking about a fingerprint or a murder weapon. He wasn't talking about a cryptic letter left by a villain.
Then what was he talking about?
In the 17th century, a clue literally referred to a ball of string or a ball of thread. That was its primary everyday dictionary definition.
Okay, let's unpack this because this is where my brain completely halts.
The weird jump.
It's a huge jump.
Oh.
If a clue is just a ball of yarn, how on earth do we get from haberdashery and knitting supplies to homicide investigations?
Right, it doesn't seem to make sense.
A literal ball of string seems entirely useless for solving a murder unless the culprit happens to be a cat.
That's hilarious.
I mean, there has to be a massive missing link here. Who looks at a sewing kit and thinks, yes, a tool for uncovering dark secrets?
It is a totally fair question. And to find the answer, we can't just flip through historical dictionaries or, trace the standardized spelling shifts of early modern English.
Why not?
Because the dictionary only tells us that the shift happened. It doesn't tell us why.
Gotcha.
To understand the cognitive leap from a physical ball of string to a piece of intellectual evidence, we have to leave the detective's office completely. We actually have to travel back to the ancient myths of Greece.
I love this. We are trading the magnifying glass for the Mediterranean. So where does this story actually start?
It starts on the island of Crete with a ruler named King Minos.
Okay, King Minos.
Now, Minos was incredibly powerful, but according to the myth, he was also deeply insecure about his political position. He desperately needed validation that he was the rightful king.
Imposter syndrome in ancient Greece.
Exactly. And since Crete was a maritime power, completely dependent on the ocean, Minos prayed to the sea god Poseidon. He asked Poseidon to send him a sign that he was indeed fit to rule, a sign that his kingship was, divinely ordained.
I mean, I get the political strategy there. Nothing secures an ancient throne quite like a flashy supernatural endorsement from the god of the sea.
Precisely. And surprisingly, Poseidon actually answers the prayer.
Wow.
He sends Minos a magnificent, spectacularly beautiful white bull, which emerges right out of the foaming ocean. It's a breathtaking creature.
Oh, look at the sign.
It is, but this divine gift comes with a very strict, non-negotiable condition.
There's always a catch with Greek gods.
Always. Poseidon demands that this specific white bull must be sacrificed right back to him in his honor. It is basically a test of obedience. Poseidon is saying, I'm giving you your proof of power, but you must acknowledge where that power comes from.
A test that, if I know my Greek mythology at all,
Right.
Minos spectacularly fails.
Oh, he fails completely. Minos looks at this incredible white bull, and he is just overcome by hubris and greed. He decides he wants to keep this magnificent animal for his own royal herds to improve his stock.
Oh boy.
So he hides the divine white bull away, and he attempts to trick Poseidon by sacrificing a lesser, ordinary, run-of-the-mill bull in its place.
This is such a colossal, unforced error.
It really is.
I try to put this in modern terms, and it's like, okay, imagine your boss giving you a brand new luxury sports car.
Okay, I'm imagining it.
And they say, hey, I am giving you this car specifically so you can auction it off tonight for the company charity.
Right.
And you look at the keys and you think, wow, this is a really nice car. I'd look great driving this. So you just park it in your own garage and you roll some rusty, squeaky bicycle into the charity auction instead, figuring the boss probably won't notice the difference.
That is a remarkably accurate analogy for the sheer audacity of what Minos did. And just like your hypothetical boss, Poseidon absolutely notices the rusty bicycle.
Of course he does. He's a god.
He is an omniscient deity. He sees exactly what Minos has done, and he is understandably enraged by the deception. You simply do not try to pull a bait and switch on an Olympian god.
So what does Poseidon do? Because Greek gods are not exactly known for sending a polite but sternly worded email to HR. They usually go straight to maximum devastation.
Maximum devastation is an understatement here. Poseidon orchestrates a brutal, deeply personal retaliation.
Right.
Rather than just striking Minos with lightning, Poseidon targets Minos' family. He curses the king's wife, Queen Pasiphae.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The curse causes her to fall madly, uncontrollably in love with the very same white bull that Minos refused to sacrifice.
So Minos' petty tax fraud with a sea god effectively creates a horrific localized nightmare.
It does. And the result of this curse is tragic. Pasiphae and the bull produce a child. And this child is the Minotaur.
The famous Minotaur.
Yes. A terrifying, predatory creature that is half man and half bull. It is a living, breathing monument to Minos' hubris.
Okay, so Minos essentially creates a biological weapon out of his own greed.
What?
We have the Minotaur.
Yeah.
But I have to push back here for a second.
Sure.
We are supposed to be figuring out how a ball of string becomes a detective's clue. And right now, this just sounds like an incredibly dark, albeit fascinating family drama on an island.
That's fair.
How does this necessitate the creation of a massive puzzle, or where does the thread come in?
Right, because the consequences of Minos' actions refused to stay contained to his own family. The white bull, that original gift from Poseidon, didn't just stay peacefully chewing grass in a royal pasture after this whole affair.
It didn't.
No, it went rogue. Driven mad by the gods, it went on an absolute rampage throughout the land of Crete, destroying crops and killing people.
Wait, if the bull is just roaming around destroying the island, why didn't Minos just have his army kill it?
Because it's not a normal animal. It's a divinely enhanced beast sent by Poseidon. Ordinary weapons and ordinary soldiers couldn't stop it. It takes a hero to stop it. Specifically, Heracles, often known to us as Hercules.
Oh, right. The hero famous for his 12 labors.
Exactly. And one of those 12 labors was specifically to travel to Crete and capture this rampaging, indestructible bull.
Wow.
And Heracles actually succeeds. He wrestles the beast, captures it alive, and brings it back to the mainland of Greece, presenting it to King Eurystheus.
Okay, problem solved then.
Not quite. The bull is too wild. It breaks free again, and it escapes all the way to Marathon, which is a region right near the city-state of Athens.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This is the moment where the story hinges on a piece of devastating narrative irony.
It really is a masterclass in tragic irony, because while the bull is now terrorizing the countryside near Athens, who decides to visit the city,
King Minos' own biological son, Androgeus. So you have King Minos back in Crete, dealing with the fallout of the Minotaur. Meanwhile, his human son, Androgeus, who is this incredible athlete, travels to Athens to compete in their royal athletic games.
he enters the games and he crushes the competition.
He wins every single event. He is at the absolute peak of his life, a total champion, and then he gets trampled to death.
And not just by a random cart or a stray horse.
Right. He is trampled to death by the exact same Cretan bull that his father had hubristically kept alive years earlier, the same bull that escaped Heracles.
The irony is heavy.
The butterfly effect here is just insane. Minos thought he was being so clever at hoarding this divine bull, and the direct result is that the bull literally crosses the sea to crush his own son in a completely different city.
It's brutal. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this exact moment is where the story shifts from a localized mythological tragedy to a full-scale geopolitical war.
Because Minos is furious.
Exactly. Grief-stricken and enraged by the death of his son in Athenian territory, King Minos blames Athens. In retribution, he brings the full, overwhelming force of a Cretan navy down on the city and conquers Athens.
He holds them entirely responsible. He wants them to pay permanently.
And the price he demands is horrifying. But before he can exact that price, Minos has to deal with his own monster problem back home in Crete.
The Minotaur.
Right. The Minotaur is growing, and it is a flesh-eating beast. So Minos commands his resident genius architect, Daedalus, to construct an inescapable underground prison.
The labyrinth.
Yes. It is a sprawling, subterranean maze designed for one purpose: to house the Minotaur, hiding the monstrous shame of the royal family in total darkness.
Which solves his monster problem locally, but the labyrinth also becomes the instrument of his vengeance against Athens.
Exactly. Minos outlines the devastating terms of his victory over Athens. He decrees a grim, unyielding tribute. Every 9 years, the city of Athens must send a human sacrifice to Crete. 7 young Athenian men and 7 young Athenian women are to be loaded onto a ship with black sails, brought to Crete, and forced into the darkness of the labyrinth.
Let's just pause and think about the sheer terror of this situation for a second. If you are listening to this and trying to imagine it, put yourself in the shoes of one of those 14 people.
It's terrifying to even consider.
The labyrinth isn't just a fun corn maze in the daylight, you know? It is a guaranteed death sentence. You are forced into a windowless subterranean complex. It is pitch black.
Total darkness.
Sensory deprivation sets in. You cannot memorize a route because the intersections are deliberately chaotic.
Yeah.
You can't just follow the left wall because it loops back on itself. And worse, there's an apex predator hunting you in the dark.
It is the ultimate expression of human helplessness.
Exactly. Brute strength isn't going to save you. You could be the greatest sword fighter in the world, and you would still die of dehydration, hopelessly lost. To survive this, someone wouldn't just need to be a great warrior. They would need an entirely new kind of technology to hack the maze. They need a way to outsmart the architecture itself.
And that brings us to the introduction of that crucial piece of technology. So the time comes for the third tribute, and a young Athenian prince named Theseus volunteers to be one of the sacrifices sent into the labyrinth. He intends to kill the Minotaur and end the terror once and for all.
But Theseus gets incredibly lucky because he realizes he can't do it alone. He makes a connection on the inside.
He does. When he arrives in Crete, he catches the eye of Ariadne, who just so happens to be King Minos' own daughter.
Wow. Talk about a plot twist.
Yeah, Ariadne falls in love with Theseus, and she knows that going into the labyrinth is a one-way trip. The architecture is unbeatable. So she consults Daedalus, the architect himself, to find out if there is a flaw in the design.
And is there?
Daedalus tells her there is only one way to beat the maze. She takes this knowledge and secretly meets Theseus before he is thrown inside. To help him survive, she gives him a simple physical tool.
This is it.
She gives him a literal clue, CLEW, a ball of thread.
This is the moment. This is where the haberdashery saves the day. I want you to visualize this climatic scene. Theseus takes this ball of thread. Before he steps into the utter darkness of the maze, he cleverly ties one end of the string to the massive stone entrance door.
A literal lifeline.
Yeah. He ventures deep into the dark, completely blind to the twists and turns, letting the ball of thread slowly unravel behind him. He finds the Minotaur at the center of the maze, and in this epic, brutal struggle, he manages to slay the beast.
But as you pointed out earlier, slaying the monster is only half the battle.
It means absolutely nothing if you die of starvation in the dark beside a dead monster. The adrenaline wears off, the silence rushes back in, and Theseus is surrounded by a million identical pitch-black corridors.
Right, the maze is still there.
But he doesn't panic. He reaches down, finds that physical thread, and he simply traces his way back. He follows the string, step by step, back through the confusing corridors, out of the darkness, and back into the light. He survives the unsolvable physical mystery because of a ball of string.
What's fascinating here is how deeply this single act of survival imprinted itself on human psychology and language.
Yeah.
This is where we answer your original question of how we get from a ball of yarn to a detective's evidence. We have to look at spatial cognition.
Spatial cognition. Walk me through that.
Well, human brains didn't evolve to solve abstract, complex logic puzzles. We evolved over millions of years to navigate physical spaces, landscapes, forests, terrain.
Okay, that makes sense.
So when we encounter a complex intellectual problem today, our brains literally treat it like a physical landscape. That's why we use spatial metaphors all the time.
Like what?
We say we are trying to find our way through a tough decision. We say we need to get around an obstacle. If our research fails, we say we hit a dead end.
Oh, wow. That makes total sense. When I am confused by a really dense topic, I literally say I am lost.
Exactly. Being intellectually confused feels exactly the same to your brain as being physically lost. And what is the ultimate physical manifestation of being lost?
A labyrinth.
A labyrinth. It is a confusing, dangerous situation where you are surrounded by dead ends, confusing turns, and things that just don't make sense. So how do you survive a metaphorical labyrinth? You need a metaphorical thread.
You need something to guide you back to the truth. You need an anchor.
Precisely. Initially, in the 15th and 16th centuries, the word clue was just that physical thread used to navigate. But as human storytelling evolved and as society became more complex, we started facing more intellectual mazes than physical ones.
Right, the monsters changed.
Yeah. The evidence you find, the little anomalies you notice, those become your thread. They keep you tethered to reality.
They stop you from getting lost in false theories or running down a mental dead end.
Yes. So imagine a detective in the 19th century, right as modern police forces and detective fiction are being born. The detective is facing a complex crime, which is a figurative labyrinth.
Full of twists and turns.
Exactly. To navigate the lies and alibis, they need a clue. The metaphorical use of the word became so incredibly useful and popular that it completely overshadowed the original physical meaning.
But wait, how did the spelling change from C-L-E-W to C-L-U-E?
Yeah.
Because if Shakespeare was writing C-L-E-W, how did we end up with the board game spelling?
That basically comes down to the standardization of the English language.
Oh, right.
For centuries, English spelling was wildly inconsistent. C-L-E-W was the Germanic root, but as English absorbed French and Latin influences, spellings shifted. The UE spelling gained traction in the 15th and 16th centuries.
Makes sense.
By the time we get to the Victorian era, the golden age of detective fiction with characters like Sherlock Holmes dictionaries had largely standardized the spelling as C-L-U-E for the metaphorical meaning, while the old C-L-E-W spelling was mostly relegated to niche nautical terms about sailing ropes.
That is amazing. The physical thread literally evolved into a mental thread.
It did.
So when a modern detective, either in real life or on a TV show, walks into a chaotic crime scene and finds a discarded receipt or a strange scuff mark on the floor, they're entirely, metaphorically speaking, picking up the end of Ariadne's thread.
That's a great way to put it.
They're tying it to the door, and they're going to follow that conceptual thread through the dark maze of the investigation until they find the monster at the center.
It perfectly encapsulates how our language isn't just, a random collection of sounds we invented yesterday. It is an archaeological record.
It really is.
We carry these ancient myths in our mouths every single day without even realizing it. The tools our ancestors used to survive physical dangers are the exact same words we use to survive intellectual challenges today.
So what does this all mean? Let's recap this incredible journey for you. We started with a word we use casually every day. A word we see printed on cardboard game boxes and hear in every mystery show.
A totally ordinary word.
But the history of that word is woven from the oldest and most epic stories of human civilization. The deep insecurity of an island king, the brutal vengeance of a sea god, a rampaging divine bull, a tragically ironic death at the athletic games, a terrifying underground prison, and a desperate, terrifying fight for survival in the pitch dark.
It's an action movie.
It is. The physical thread given by a princess became the clue de C-L-E-W used by Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And over time, as our brains needed a way to map complex problems, that clue became the clue C-L-U-E used by modern detectives.
It is an incredibly satisfying linguistic evolution. It really proves that to understand how we think today, you have to understand the stories we told thousands of years ago.
It makes you look at a simple dictionary entirely differently. It is not just a reference book for spelling. It is a museum of human survival.
I love that phrase.
And that brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with, something for you to mull over long after this deep dive is finished. We just explored how clue is a hidden thread. But think about all the other casual metaphors we use when we talk about solving mysteries or just dealing with complex, confusing situations in our own lives.
Oh, yeah. The language of textiles and string is everywhere when you start looking for it.
It really is. When a detective is finally figuring something out, what do we say? We say they are unraveling a mystery. When
Mhm.
someone is telling you a really complex, confusing story at a party and they get distracted, we warn them not to lose their thread.
Right.
And when an investigation or a project is almost completely over, but there are just a few minor details left to fix, we say we need to tie up loose ends.
Mm.
Unraveling, losing the thread,
Mm.
loose ends.
It's all connected.
How many other everyday phrases are secretly ancient survival tools hiding in plain sight in our modern vocabulary? The next time you find a clue, whether it's a typo in an email or a missing key, remember you are holding a tiny metaphorical piece of a 3,000-year-old myth. Keep pulling on the threads of your own curiosity. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.